We are so excited to have Brandon speak with us today. He is a risk navigator with the Mid-State Group, an instructor with the Mid-State Academy of Risk Management. He specializes in the development of risk management, safety, HR, and insurance programs. His safety and risk management focus includes his 30-hour OSHA certification compliance check training. It allows him to assess, analyze, and adjust HR and safety programs to improve their clients' risk profile improvement index, as well as lower their overall operating costs, which is impressive. Brandon has worked in the industry for about 7 years and holds a Certified Benefits and Wellness Advisor designation. He's also planning to sit for his SHR designation. Later this year, he's married and has 2 children. And join me in welcoming Brandon Webb.
Thank you, Dr. McLaughlin. Can I mosey out from behind this microphone? Can everybody hear me okay? Is that good? Okay, good. Thank you for the introduction, and I briefly mentioned to her before she introduced me that apparently Gail, one of the Gails, I'm not that Gail. I don't think the other one is here today.
No, she's not.
They needed a bio on me really quick, and my bio that I used traditionally was actually on a different computer, and so I made this one work to fit. But I left my coworker's name that was originally his bio in the bio, so thanks for not calling me Mike several times. That was left in there unintentionally.
It's a good name. Mike's a good name.
That's it. That's right, Mike. But it's great. It's great to see some familiar faces again, Mike, Warren, and others, and great to meet some new folks today as well. We're going to talk obviously today about performance evaluations or employee performance really in general. And before we jump into some of the materials today that John's kind of passing out, and we're going to get to some of this stuff more towards the end of our time together, but a couple of just really unwritten or unspoken rules about employee performance or workplace performance, how to get work done, that I'm just going to briefly go through now, and we're actually going to reference this back towards the tail end of our conversation today, and it'll make more sense now. So this is more of a, just kind of put these thoughts in your head, kind of true, false, do you agree, do you disagree, so on and so forth. So just briefly, the first was most work happens from Monday to Friday, 8 to 5. Agree or disagree? Okay. People at their workstations are doing work. That's a good one, right? Results are proportional to efforts. Okay. Summer hours programs create work-life balance for employees. Maybe, maybe not. People who work a lot of hours get more work done than people who work fewer hours. You guys are good. Non-exempt employee status is a way for us as human resource professionals to protect our employees from working too many hours. You guys that are talking know where I'm going with that one. Working out of hours, the traditional work day, is not good for work-life balance. Flexibility creates performance issues. Anything about that one?
Disagree.
Okay. People in flexible work environments don't have enough time to get their work done. Okay. I actually saw an email floating around, and I don't recall who it was from, but it was from this group, I believe in the last week or so, about how do you handle or how do you monitor employees' productivity if they're working from home. Did you guys recall that email going around? Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about that. I just happened to glance at it and was like, oh, that's timely. Creating more jobs helps us manage more work. Right? That whole idea of bureaucracy. Rules and responsibilities bring clarity to work. True. Job descriptions help people know what's expected of them at work. True. If people give you if you give people control over their schedules, they'll take advantage of the system. I have some yays and some nays. Good. Very good. So before we get started, so once again, that was just more of we're going to ask the same questions at the end and see kind of if our ideas have changed. I can tell that some of you guys are already on board with what we're going to talk about today. And I'm going to start start this session together talking about actually a personal experience of mine going back about a year ago. And it's turned out to be somewhat of a funny story. But and just to give you the framework, I was on the tail end of one of the most productive professional years of my life. I led our organization in sales. I had achieved a large level of success in terms of production and things of that nature, being in the insurance risk management industry. Excuse me. And but I was constantly getting beaten up or berated by certain individuals that I work with. John's not one of them, for those that are curious. Constantly getting beaten up, not because of my performance, because of time. Because they were frustrated with me because I would show up maybe 15 minutes or 30 minutes after the traditional time that was, I guess, we were supposed to show up. Or I was constantly getting poked or prodded about, well, it must be nice to be able to take off, early on a Wednesday afternoon and go play golf with your buddies. Or, hey, nice of you to join us in the meeting today. Glad you could get out of bed and join us. Some people actually have to work for a living. And so my frustrations were mounting, and you can obviously understand why. I was achieving the very objectives that had been set before me to achieve, and was actually exceeding those objectives, but I was constantly being beaten up to some degree by certain individuals that I work with about piddly matters that I found completely unimportant. Because what they didn't realize behind the scenes was what I was actually doing when I wasn't in the office. They had this correlation that productivity required me to be sitting behind my desk 8 or 9 or 10 hours a day in order for me to accomplish the objectives that they had set before me to accomplish. Yes?
Was that co-workers or was that supervisor?
They were a supervisor. So, at any rate, I felt like I was by all terms of the definition successful, but then I had this issue. And I actually was meeting with John one day, and we were actually discussing frustrations, and we were talking about this very issue. And we were at the Randolph-Macon bookstore. It's actually a Barnes & Noble there on Rivermont Avenue, for those of you who frequent that part of town. And we grabbed a cup of coffee, and we were on our way to sit down at the little couch area there in the front of the store. And we happened to walk by the section where the business and leadership books were. And this book, right here, happened to be facing out as I walked by the shelf, and the title obviously caught me. And I certainly don't want to offend anybody when I say this, but I walked by and I noticed, and I thought to myself, I was like, wow, that's a very appropriately titled book. Work Sucks. And so I grabbed it because it intrigued me, and then I realized the title was actually Why Work Sucks. And then I thought to myself, I was like, wow, I wish I wrote a book, or could write a book, or had the patience to write a book, because I could give you 1,000,000 reasons why work sucks, and probably 2,000,000 reasons on how to fix it. And I could be making money like these two folks did. By the way, we're talking about some of this book and some of the principles in the book today. And these, the authors of this book were actually HR professionals at Best Buy in a test or a pilot program that they use in their efforts to create a results-oriented work environment. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. Moving away more from the traditional or this idea that in order to be productive or to be successful, you actually have to be present somewhere performing tasks and not so much using your own set of skills and your creativity in order to accomplish the goals that your employer has placed before you to accomplish. So I'm going to start with a couple of stories, and just to kind of once again help lay the foundation for this. And just so you know, this when I was asked, I was actually given from Gail a list of seminar topics that you guys had indicated that you wanted someone to come in and speak on. And one of them was performance evaluations. And I was a little nervous because this is actually one small segment of a half-day workshop that I teach on job descriptions, interview questions, performance evaluations, and termination policies. So I was kind of, to some degree, dumbfounded on what I was going to do or how I was going to talk about employee performance or performance evaluations for an entire hour, keep it relevant, keep it interesting, and not beat a dead horse all at the same time. And it was actually, I realized, going back a year and realized that eventually we bought the book and I eventually read it. And it was brought to my attention and I was like, oh yeah, that's a great way to lay the foundation or the framework for our discussion today. Bear with me just one second while I find my place. Dead silence. Sorry, guys. There he goes. Okay. I've been worked the lake for 3 days, and I'm starting to get the eye from the boss. This morning, I raced to get ready and get into my car with an hour to make a commute that usually takes me about 30 minutes. Plenty of time to get to the office by 8, maybe even by 7:45 to get a few extra brownie points, right? Anybody ever done that? Okay. That appearance, right? Perception. And then I see it. Traffic's backed up 2 stoplights behind the entrance ramp to the freeway. Not happening. There's construction on the other route I could take, but this is my only bet. I start sweating, panicking, knowing that this is going to knock me back at least an hour, putting me at the office at 9 and not my wishful 7:45. I'm positive I'll be fired or at least put on warning for being late 4 days in a row. I can feel my blood pressure rising, my heart racing, and I badly just want to step on the gas and fly down the shoulder as far as I can go. Anybody ever had that thought?
Done it.
Yeah. Shamefully, I've done it as well. I reach for my phone knowing what I have to do. I fight with myself because I know what I'm about to do feels awful. I convince myself that if I don't do it, I'll lose my job. So I dial my boss's number. I get his voicemail. I cough and say in a raspy voice, Jim, I'm not feeling well today. And if I could actually mimic people, I would actually try to do that, but I can't. Jim, I'm just not feeling well today. I don't think I'm going to be able to make it in. I was up all night coughing with a fever. Cough, cough, clear your throat. You get where I'm going with it. I'll see you tomorrow. Anyone ever done that? You're really not sick, but you're scared of the consequences of being late for reasons oftentimes that are completely beyond your control. Right? Here's another story. I'm so excited. My husband and I have plans to go to dinner at my favorite restaurant to celebrate our anniversary. The restaurant is an hour away, and to make our 6 o'clock reservation during rush hour, I'll have to leave work at 4:30. Leaving at this time is unheard of where I work. But tonight, I don't care what anyone says about me. I arrive at the office and find out that my boss has called a surprise meeting with my team. She proceeds to tell us that she hasn't seen the dedication she needs to see on our new project. She expects to see us all working until at least 6 every night to put our time in. I talk with her after our meeting to let her know that I'll be leaving at 4:30 for my anniversary dinner, but I'll work until 7 every other night this week. She glares at me and lets me know that there are people lined up for my job, but you can make your own decision. Anyone ever had that happen? I know in that moment that my husband and I will need to celebrate this weekend instead of tonight. I cancel our reservation and call my husband. He asks me when I'm going to realize what's really important in life and hangs up the phone. I ask myself the same question as I lay my head down on my desk. And then they pose the question, why does work suck? Pardon my French, don't mean to offend anybody when I say that. Why does work suck? Aren't these the scenarios that oftentimes find us the most frustrated about work? When we have things that are going on, things that are legitimate, that don't affect our performance, but we're still constantly beaten up or berated by these very things. Let me share one more story with you, and then we're going to move on.